Hi everybody, I'm jumping on real quick to explain a little bit, give a little bit more context and meat to the elephant in the room post. There were a lot of people triggered, there were a lot of questions. So now you know I'm not a typical parenting coach. I like to approach the taboo topics, the things that other people don't talk about or don't coach you through. So it's really important that when you are around someone who's difficult to be around, someone who has a diagnosis, someone who has an addiction, someone who has really sabotaging habits, a person that is a Debbie Downer or that will basically impact get-togethers and reshape how you talk, will throw you off your game. It's really important for you to have that conversation with your kids. The reason being is because they are learning to follow their gut. They need to know that what they see, what they hear, what they are experiencing is real, and that you are competent, capable, and trustworthy enough to identify that reality, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and to help guide them through it. So if your child sees you pretending it's not happening, or they see you putting on your goggles of denial, they start to take one step back from you as someone that they could trust, someone that they can confide in. And also they start to shift into thinking, well, maybe I have to caretake her or him because they don't see it. They don't see it. Like, why don't they see it? Second part is when we share about the elephant in the room, you do it in a way that is filled with empathy. Why do I ask you to be really empathic? It's because there are elements of that person that may exist in your own child. And so if you can speak with empathy about the difficulty of this person's processing, this person's habit of going into defense mode, empathy about, wow, it must be really hard for them to always feel that they need to control everything. This person's mind tells them that they have to be really angry and that this is an emergency, even though we don't see it that way. Then, if your child happens to have those characteristics, they can first hear that empathy comes first. Second, they can hear that a game plan is needed, right? A game plan to help keep themselves safe as the outsider. But if one day they are that person, that means there's learning to be done, right? That I'm not going to be set out to pasture, that I'm no good person, that I'm bad. It's like, this is something that I have to work to get better at. So the third layer is, what if you feel you are the elephant in the room? Then it's such a deeper conversation that I can actually have here in the car with you. But if you feel you are the elephant in the room, my question is, what do you think people are misreading? Why do you think people are misreading it? How can you make subtle shifts to make your intentions more clear to others? And also be mindful, if you are hearing the same complaint, or you are getting, if you're being described in terms that you don't agree with, how could it be that, what is it that you're doing that may have created that perception, right? So it's more the act of being reflective instead of being defensive, and being able to do that for ourselves models for our children that some things we take a step back and we process it and we make game plans, and that it's not an assault on our heart. It is just kind of a misstep in how we're navigating with larger crowds or with other people. So anyway, that's my little tidbit on the elephant in the room. And I should probably end with, here's an example of the elephant in the room. When I was a teacher, there was a child who was on the spectrum. No one spoke about it. He was in the room, we loved him, we played with him, but when objects fell, he would scream and he'd dive under the table. And it would take one of the teachers about 15 to 20 minutes to get him to come out from under the table and for him to regulate and be calm and be able to plug back into the classroom. So this is kind of typical in all classrooms. This story could be the same for a hitter, a biter. And what happens is no one speaks about it. Everyone accommodates, everyone adjusts. But all the children are thinking, this is weird. Like, why does this happen to this kid but it doesn't happen to other kids? Why does the teacher need to take 20 minutes to help him? Why is it always him? What is scaring him? And so generally, no one speaks to it. Everyone just does their best. What I have found is when I was able to sit kids down and say, listen, so-and-so's here, when so-and-so hears this loud sound, his brain tells him it's an emergency. It's an emergency, so he needs to protect his body, which is why he dives under a table for shelter. He is learning. We are trying to teach his body that this specific noise is not actually an emergency, but he is learning that. So it's going to take time. So these are the things you can do. You can help him by telling him, remember, it's just a clipboard. It wasn't the wall falling. You can give him space so that you're not making extra noise, but he's just learning this. And soon enough, his body will learn, oh, that's a clipboard that fell on the floor. It's not an emergency. So having that simple conversation brought a lot of relief to the children. So you don't have to go into details. He's on the spectrum. He's an alcoholic. He's bitter because he never had a close relationship with someone. Oh, he lost his job. Children don't need to know a label or the big thing. They just need to know that you see what they see, you feel what they feel, and that you are creating plans to make yourselves feel comfortable and to navigate better in the space. So there you have it. If you have any questions, go ahead and DM me again and we will, and I'll do a part 2 to this. All right, have a great rest of the day. Bye.